Hi, Shelly. Shelly, how are you doing?
I am doing quite well, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thanks for agreeing to have a little chat on Zoom. We met via LinkedIn, and
Yes, we did.
I think we've got a lot in common. I think we're all trying to do a similar kind of um, a niche, or you call it
A
in
niche.
Denver, in Denver. So, and I think we've come on very different journeys to where we are now, although we are very similar in what we do. So, I'll be interested if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself, where you've been, what you're doing now. I think that would be great.
Well, I am a licensed clinical social worker and I live in Denver, Colorado. And I've been licensed since 1988.
Yeah,
And in 1990, I got my first private practice client. So I've been a licensed clinical social worker and transitioned about 3 years ago to include. I haven't closed my practice, but I've limited the number of clients that I see. But my practice is one half is clinical work and the other half is coaching, and there's a very big difference between the two.
yeah,
So I'm doing coaching specifically with retirement or people getting ready to retire, and I love it. I think it's a passion. I've studied about it. I've read about it. I got certified in it. I've watched people retire for about 5 or 6 years and I had the fortunate experience of a former office mate who I supervised in her midlife career change 30 years ago. And after about 7 years, we started officing together and we officed together for 15 years. And she had to retire because she had a misdiagnosed medical situation at the age of 79.
yeah, yeah,
And I watched her and I watched how vibrant she was in life and engaged. And, it was really a second life for her. And I don't see any reason for myself right now that I want to close the shop. I want to continue working, but I wanted to make changes in the content of what I work in.
yeah, yeah,
And rather than do reparative work, which is what a lot of clinical work can be, understanding self, I wanted to work with people in a coaching, moving forward kind of platform. And so I got certified about 3 years ago and have been building my practice since then.
yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, well, going back to what you were saying about your friend who was misdiagnosed in her late 70s, that the brain is a muscle. And if we don't challenge it, we don't learn new things. Languages are an amazing thing to do. So I'm led to believe. Um, and if you don't use it, it will wither. It will wither. And I think didn't she go to a retirement settlement in
She didn't
Florida?
go to a retirement community, but she moved to live with her daughter in Florida.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
my friend was a Buddhist Methodist.
yeah,
She was very politically engaged as a Democrat. And in Florida, she lived in a very, very conservative community. She was allergic to the sun after cancer treatment. And I watched for the next like 9 years her wither. And she never found her community other than her daughter.
yeah,
Uh, but she couldn't find a church that fit for her. And she pretty much became housebound because of her allergy to the day she stopped driving was when she really made a transition.
it's hard for you to watch that and hard for her. So
It was very hard, but I also feel very honored that I
yeah,
would go out and see her a couple times a year.
yeah,
So I went through the journey with her. I actually advocated for her with hospice and let them know what a vibrant woman she had been all of her life.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
really turned the picture for them about how they were treating her.
yeah, yeah. Okay, a little bit about me then. Um, I I've been inadvertently coaching most of my life, actually, managing staff, um, probably since my early 20s. It wasn't part of my job. I used to be a civil servant. I worked in government, in taxation. I was a customs officer. I got into IT in the 90s, but I always took time to manage my team and my staff because you get them right, it made my job a lot easier. So if I had a new job, the first thing I would go around all the team, have a cup of coffee with them for an hour. That would be my first few days before I even knew what my job was. I wanted to find out about them. What made them get out of bed in the morning? What was their purpose? So that was something I really enjoyed doing. That was no hardship. I stepped back from consulting and that kind of arena in 2019. My wife and I, we had a bucket list of places we want to go. So we went to Auschwitz, Birkenau, we went to Australia, we went to Canada. We did a lot of things around the house that we needed to do. And then, of course, the world was struck with the pandemic in early 20. And my wife came from a very different career. She was a fashion designer. So mine was very linear. There was always a book behind me or a process to fix things in IT. She was a designer going with a blank sheet of paper every day. But where we met was managing people, motivating people, surround yourself with a good team and, you know, having a great time at work, but working hard and playing hard. And it was good. So she had this brainwave. Why don't we formalize the coaching that we've been doing for 20 or 30 years, and we go for a coaching qualification. So we did a coaching academy in the UK. It was recommended by a friend in San Francisco, and so we did that. Qualified in early 21, set up our practice. So we've been going 2.5 years now, and we have a slightly different niche. My niche is doing retirement, reinvention. My wife deals with burnout and imposter syndrome because artistic people have this thing on their shoulder, never think they're good enough because they're producing art. And if it's clothes or if it's a piece of art, somebody doesn't buy it because they don't like it. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that they don't like it. So we came to this a very, very different place. So I give talks on Saga cruise liners. Saga is a European travel company. But with my clients, there's no single answer for all of them. It's not the same thing, not the same answer. Retirement is a crossroads. What makes some people get out of bed is different for other people. So, and to see the change in people, and you know, they basically start off some of the calls. They're all hunchback, and and then they kind of a light bulb, and they've got life. They're present. They found their purpose, and it may not have been their work because I think one of the hardest things I deal with newly retired people is egos. You know, they've had people booking their flights, getting their lunches, booking their appointments, and they've had quite a high senior title, and they probably socialized with a lot of their colleagues. And then all of a sudden, they retire. They're given their laptop back, their company phone as well. They've lost the title. The colleagues don't ring them anymore. They don't socialize with them. And it's probably just them and their wife. They may have a very good income, but they've lost their purpose. They've lost their status. That's really hard. And some people don't get it. And I've got people around where we live now who are retired military, but they like to be called major or brigadier. But they left the forces years ago. But that's how they want to define themselves. You know, if it makes them feel happy, I'll do it. But they're still clinging with their nails onto their career, which they don't do anymore. They're not that anymore. So it's a challenge. I don't know if but it's rewarding as well to see the change in people. And some of the people I've got who are approaching retirement, it's not something we discuss regularly, but they've been giving up their jobs, you know, in their late 50s, 60, thinking, even though I've only got a few years left, this is not my purpose. This is not what I want to do. And I feel really bad that they're resigning from their jobs and taking this risk. But they come onto the calls with a smile on their face. I've taken a drop in salary. My pension's fine, but I'm now having a great time. I want to go to work in the morning. And they've got a glint in their eyes. And, you know, they found their purpose prior to retirement.